Countdown to Green, presented by Wendy's. We take a look back at all the action from the first ever eNASCAR street race. We talk with the drivers over at 2311. And we take a look at how you're racing at home with the Logitech Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more tonight on Countdown to Green. 'Cause we're invincible.
Welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. This is Countdown to Green, presented by Wendy's, and I'm your host, Camille Salazar-Hadaway. Joining me, as always, we have Blake McCandless and Alan Cabana. How are you doing?
Oh, it's so good to be here. We got some good time in Chicago, but it's now nice back to be here in the Coke Series and with y'all as we look toward the playoff push, Blake. There's only 3 more races left.
Just 3 races left, and again, this is such a challenging track for these drivers to try to have to tackle. We got some tough ones coming up before the playoffs start, but perhaps none tougher than what we have in Nashville tonight.
Yes, tough races and even tougher picks for Blake and I.
Yeah, man.
But we'll get to that a little later in the show. There's so much shame for us, Blake, you and I. But first, last race, we got to get a little bit of Chicago action. But there was also IRL Chicago action as well. Right, Alan?
Oh, yeah, there was. I mean, it was such a fun weekend, and we kept referring it rightly as the track that iRacing built. And Blake and I, we were there. We got to see it both in the iRacing side and the real-life side. You could see some of the drivers that were there. Vicente Salas. They had it Navy Pier, Blake. They had all the rigs out there for people to try. It was bringing iRacing to a new audience, bringing racing, bringing NASCAR to a new audience. They got the full experience. Hey, there's even 2 good-looking guys checking out the sites there.
Hey, wait a second. That looks familiar. You two were there, too? That's so exciting. Blake,
it was exciting. I loved being there. I'd never been to the city of Chicago before, but everything that really the entire industry was talking about walking away from this race was the different fan energy that was there, everything that went on. It was just such a fun experience to be able to walk and see the city streets of Chicago, see all the sights, see everything that there is to enjoy, but also be able to take it in through a NASCAR weekend and be able to enjoy racing. It was just absolutely incredible. The energy that was there was off the charts.
And you saw a video of us. It was, yeah. I mean, you saw a video of us checking out the sites. You see people getting on the rigs there. I think we saw, what was that, Parker Retzlaff driving on the course. He used to, race it here in the Coke Series, and now he's out there in real life. Matt Booth, I believe, did the race from there. Vicente Salas. A lot of drivers out there at Chicago from our series to see it in real life. It was such a cool experience.
Well, I was just about to say, two of your worlds collided. You got that sim and you got that live action. I'm pretty sure you ran into some drivers from the series as well.
We did. I ran into Vicente Salas. Blake, did you see others out there?
I know Alan Bowes was out there. Wasn't able to catch up with Steven Wilson, but I know he was out there as well. Saw Vicente for a little bit on Friday night. So, yeah, there was a lot of eNASCAR presence at this event as well, which was obviously very cool. And got to catch up with my good buddy Alan, of course.
Yeah, we saw the sights around Chicago thanks to producer Cisco. So we got the full Chicago experience.
Well, I'm just going to say I'm a bit jealous. Where was my invitation? Again, being left out. But you know what? I have to make it out next time. But for now, let's look back at Chicago in the sim with a recap of last race.
Pace car going to make a hard right-hand turn. The field will work its way onto South Columbus Drive. Green flag is in the air as we say, let's go racing from the streets of Chicago. But Alan, I think this is kind of interesting here that once these drivers can make it all the way on fuel, they feel pretty safe that they can come down here and get a little bit of clean air in the back of the field. And I think that's exactly what Colin Bowden and a couple of other drivers have to think. We approach the halfway mark here at Chicago. It is still Parker White, Bobby Zielinski, and Steven Wilson, your top 3. Steven Wilson will be the first of your trio up front to finally make his way down into the pits.
Parker White makes his pit stop. The leader is in, Blake.
Bobby Zalinski, can he hold the lead here? It's going to be really close, and Bobby Zalinski got out ahead of Parker White. A perfect stop by that crew.
Bump and run there from Dylan. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's what happened. We'll see if Busa responds to it. You can see a little bit of a lockup there for Zalinski as he scraped some of the Blue Cross Shield logos off of the concrete wall. Able to get away, though, through 3, and now they look forward to turn 4, and White is going to have to get a perfect run here off of turn 4 to have a shot at Zalinski. Zalinski sliding off the corner, but he'll continue to pull away. He maybe only has 1 or 2 more shots to do it. We'll see if he does it here in turn 7. Zalinski able to get a good exit. Now through East Congress Plaza Drive, a big bump in the middle of this sweeping left-hander. 2 car lengths separate your top 2. This may be White's last shot to do it. He's going to send it in here to turn 11 as he's now within a car length. Do we see a move here in turn 12? Final time here on the streets of Chicago, but he's not going to be able to get there. And Bobby Zalinski is going to win for the 3rd time this year. And a potential big shift in the standings as Bobby Z goes to victory lane for the 3rd time this year. He builds up a playoff points advantage and keeps the standings as is. Right now, 4 drivers are in on points. Of course, Nick Ottinger, 46 above that cut line. You have Malik Raid looking to make his first playoff appearance, but Parker White not able to lock himself in with just 3 races left to go before we settle it out. That's the playoff standings, but of course here the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, 2 separate battles to look at. This is the battle for relegation. You can see Garrett Baines, who's 9 points behind Matt Busa and has a shot to get into the playoffs. 50 points clear of that relegation battle, but I think you got to look around 25th, 26th or so, Alan. If any of those drivers, kind of where Donovan Strauss, Timmy Holmes are above, if they get that win in their top 20, they can make the playoffs as well. So definitely a lot to fight for these drivers as they continue to move forward.
Things still quite possible. And don't forget the team side of things. This goes all the way through the end of the season, but Team Dillon Esports starting to run away with it, up 55 on William Byron Esports. Meanwhile, Junior Motorsports, they're down 79. The most points you can get per team per race is 73, so they're more than a race out down there in 3rd place. But shout out to Charlotte Phoenix moving up 3 and back into the top 10. But you got to give the ultimate shout out, those 2 young rookie drivers for Team Dillon, getting all the victories, putting themselves in great position to get the team championship. So much pride, trophy on the line, Camille. You got to give it up to those drivers doing it for them.
Hey, you know what? Every time we have a race, even though some of the performances aren't exactly what we expect, you still have to give them props because they're putting their heart out there time and time again. But let's talk about Chicago. Blake, what was your biggest takeaway from the race?
I think it's not just the race, it was the entire week as a whole, but I think we have to give a lot of credit where credit is due, that iRacing was able to take this idea of running on the streets of Chicago. It was not only able to build everything out in collaboration with NASCAR to make this event happen, but the success, you could see it early on in what we used on the sim, and the eNASCAR Pro Invitational, the all-star race for this series, and finally having a points-paying event in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Everything that went into this event, from Steve Myers, Kevin Iannarelli, the entire team at iRacing, and a lot of these Coke drivers who tested this racetrack for real life, I think just all across the board, this event was a huge success, and glad to see how it all worked out and what it could potentially mean for the future, Alan. This may not be the last time that we see this collaboration between NASCAR and iRacing for an event like like this.
Yeah, it proved we can go anywhere. What I was thinking about, though, is Parker White. The missed opportunity for him coming out of the pits led so much of this race, and we saw the point standings. You showed him, Blake. Here's where it all changed right here. Bobby Zalinski getting past Parker White. Parker White needs a victory to make it in the playoffs. Yes, he could make it on points, but right now he's on the outside looking in. If he gets the victory here in Chicago, he is on the inside, has no worries. You just wonder if Parker White ends up missing the playoffs, is he going to come back and think about what happened at Chicago, coming up one spot short of a victory? I'm not advocating taking someone out, but you have to wonder, what else could Parker White have done in that situation? And will he be thinking about that playoff time?
All right, so maybe not playing dirty.
Maybe.
But playing strategic. But we do have one team that's very playing it strategic. We have 2311 that is in the top 10. So let's check in with their drivers, Michael Guest and Keegan Lee.
I've been affiliated with 2311 for a few years now, and I love racing with them. I love their passion for iRacing and NASCAR in general, and it's great to be a part of a growing new team in NASCAR.
I decided to go to a new team this year because the last 2 years I've been with Jim Beaver Esports, and we had some good success, but with Blake retiring, I thought it would be a good change of scenery to go to 2311, join Keegan, and maybe go for a team championship. And honestly, I need to focus on making the playoffs and go for my own championship, and I think 2311 is a good place for that. I've been on the esports teams the last few years, so I'm really excited to be a part of a NASCAR team now and be able to help them market and grow the series even more.
It's surprising, but I would say last year's season wasn't that much different from my championship winning run. It just goes to show how close the competition is in this series. A few bad races can make the difference between maybe winning a championship and finishing 19th in points. Just takes a few good results to get you into the playoffs and then into the championship race to give you a shot. I need to do more races on the iRacing service to get better. My mistake at the start of the year was to go into a season with a brand new car and just assume that I could drive it the same as I always have in previous seasons. So I need to do more races on the iRacing service to get used to the new car, new tracks, and get myself prepared for the race better.
Honestly, my biggest rival before this year probably was Keegan. We ran into each other a lot of times on the track, but now that we're working together, I'm looking forward to squashing anything that we've ever had before, working well with him and making sure we both compete at the front.
My biggest rival is my friend Bobby Zalinski, someone who's always pushed me to be better, and I've always pushed him to be better. And we have friendly competition to beat each other in individual races, but even stats through the course of our whole career. We want to have the most wins out of the two of us, the most poles, best average finish. Any way we can one-up each other is better. So, yeah, I like to have a friendly rival, and that's Bobby Zalinski.
I think the biggest race that I'm looking forward to this year is honestly at the very end of the season, Homestead. It's my favorite track, and I always run very well there. So if I can make the playoffs and reach the Final Four, I'll be very confident heading into the final race.
Winning a second championship in 2023 would be great to go alongside my championship run in 2021. I felt like last year, 2022, my 19th place result took away from that championship. I really felt like I had a shot to back it up, and I went and had my worst season to date right after my championship win. So getting a second championship to me would be not only redemption for a bad run last year, but also solidifying that I deserve to be a champion, and that run in 2021 was not a fluke.
My secret to victory this season is honestly qualifying better. Qualifying's always been my biggest struggle, and I've started in the back a lot the last few years, and I have to claw my way to the front of the race. And with how short our race lengths are, I think the biggest key to victory is being able to qualify well.
And look, bad news for Keegan Leahy. He's got some work to do here in the Coke Series. The good news, though, is that he has moved from Nova Scotia down here to the Charlotte, North Carolina area. He got hired not only to drive in the Coke Series, but for 2311, he got hired by the Cup Series team. He works for them as a sim driver doing research. And if you remember, guys, not too long ago, Tyler Reddick got the win at Circuit of the Americas, the road course. And after the race, I was interviewing him, and out of the blue, he credited Keegan Leahy's work in the sim for helping the entire 2311 organization find speed on the racetrack in real life. So all of Keegan's success, being a champion, being here in the Coke Series, and helping Denny at Sonoma, his team owner, helping Tyler Reddick get that victory, get the dub for 2311 racing in real life. It just goes to show you the skills that someone like Keegan Leahy and all the Coke Series drivers really have. So it's a cool story.
It is a cool story. As a Canadian, we are sad to see Keegan leave the country, but I mean, doing great things. You wouldn't ask for anything better if he had to leave.
You gotta love the imports.
Yeah, you gotta love the imports. I actually loved in that piece how you heard Michael Guest talk about his biggest rival being Keegan Leahy, and now they're on the same team and they're friends. Speaking of friends, I'm talking about my friends at home, all of you that like to submit your rigs so we can see them here, because it is time for the Logitech Show Us Your Rigs. This is where we get to see your rigs at home, and our first one is from Austin Collins. I love this one.
Is that a rig or a skyscraper? I mean, my goodness, that is a huge monitor that's above, I imagine, where you'd want to drive. So if you need a Twitch chat or a Discord display, my goodness, I think you got it all there.
With a rig like that, there's only up from there. I mean, you can't do any better. Matthew here, this is nice and sweet. We got some cars there as well that is giving some inspiration, Alan.
Yeah, pretty simple, single monitor, desk mounted wheel, but very clean. I don't see any cords. I love the look of that. If you're OCD, you love this rig right here because it's very clean, and you could tell he's a dirt racing fan with those cars. Love that stuff right there, Matt.
I do love it. Also, there's air conditioning right there. Cooling your setups as well. This one's really cute, Blake Martin and his little buddy.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think this is a weekly trend. I think many of our friends know that if you have a furry little friend and you want to end up on our show, put your cat or your dog in your sim seat. We'll get you on the show. We love seeing these pictures. So nicely done there by Martin Y.
Ooh, and nicely done here, Matthew. Another Matthew with this very clean quadruple monitor setup, Alan.
Yeah, very classic, old school. You got the triple monitor, the TV above there, so maybe you can watch. I don't know if you're distracted while you're racing as well, but if you look real close, you can see that used Goodyear tire. So it's fun to see, a real life race fan as well getting on the iRacing side with a beautiful rig.
The only thing I'll say, Matthew, is just clean up that desktop. There's lots of icons on your desktop.
Well, I mean, Matt actually has more oval wins on iRacing than any driver in the history of the sim. So that rig is, that's a pretty victorious one.
Yeah.
Look here at Stuffy here. Got the Star Wars background going on. I like it. Kind of the same mix. We've seen a lot of wide monitors in this edition of Tweet Your Rigs.
From wide monitors to having 3 people on rigs right next to each other, Alan.
Yeah, if you look close, that's Alan Bowes, one of our drivers out there at the Chicago Street Race, putting laps down there at the rig they had on site. Again, we can't emphasize enough how fun the Chicago weekend was because we got to bring iRacing to the city. We got to bring real racing to the city. Alan Bowes showing them how it's done. Maybe they didn't even know who they were sitting next to. Such a pro there. That's very cool.
Such a pro, and you could be a pro showing us your rigs at home, but by using the hashtag eNASCAR and tagging both NASCAR and iRacing. Speaking of Alan Bowes, we get another shot of him here chugging.
Yeah, they call those chug points. So the racers in the Cup Series, they get chug points for showing off the Coke there, and I hope he does too, Blake.
Or early Coca-Cola winning moment I foresee right here from Alan Bowes. Maybe we'll get another one tonight.
Yeah, maybe he's calling it right there. I like it.
Do I get chug points for our picks? No? Does that not work out? Because I'm chugging some Coca-Cola in my Wendy's cup. I'm just saying.
There you go. Baconator and a Coca-Cola. There you go.
So, Alan, you wouldn't be mad if I steal some points from you for that, right?
I have a few to spare. Don't worry. We'll show you later what the total is.
That hurt. Well, speaking of hurting, there could be some decisions that the drivers make on the track that definitely may have them hurting or others hurting, right, Blake?
Yeah, that could certainly be the case, and we're going to return with my favorite segment here in Countdown to Green presented by Wendy's. It is Really Dude, where we're going to take a look back at some of the moves these drivers have made that are just real head scratchers. We're going to go all the way back a couple weeks ago, probably about a month and a half or so ago now, to Talladega, Tyler Gary, Brandon McKissick. I mean, come on, guys. With the seasons y'all are having, you can't be making these types of mistakes at Talladega. Dr. iRacing, Tyler Gary, you know better than that. You've won plenty of races on iRacing at Talladega. Really, dude, you gotta be able to execute a little bit better than that. Now, I think we all knew when we saw this what was going to happen. I mean, 4 wide, almost 5 on the front stretch at Las Vegas. I mean, what do you think was going to happen? Everybody gets together, they hit each other, and then you see Garrett Lowe and Zach Novak having a nice little moment there at the top end of turns 1 and 2. But, I mean, really, dude, or I should say really dudes, because that was just a whole situation. I mean, what else did you think was going to happen? Back to the throwback race at Darlington. We're going to see this move on the inside by Casey Kerwin and Daniel Falkingham. But look at the right-hand side of your screen. Femi Oladi's got a run, and Casey Kerwin says, I don't care if you have that run. I'm going to cut you off. Casey Kerwin, series champion. He already has a couple wins this year, but because of that, Casey, really, dude, you got to know a little bit better than that, than to cut up when they got a run coming like that. But you know what? It worked out for Casey Kerwin here at Charlotte. It did not work out for Jimmy Mullis. They make contact, and Jimmy, you got to get this win here, buddy. It's so important, but you can't leave the door open on the bottom. Tucker Minter gets a run. They end up crashing and going into the wall after it almost succeeded for his teammate at Pocono last year. Unfortunately, it did not work out for Jimmy Mullis. He's fighting for his first win of the year and to get in the playoffs, and he makes this mistake. Really, dude, we're rooting for him. Now, this is the really dude of all time. Right here, pace laps at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Remember, Garrett Maines almost won this race, but I think this was a bad omen. He runs into the back of Derek Bordeaux on the pace lap. I mean, come on, guys. You are the 40 best sim racers in the world. You got to know how to leave the starting grid. Really, dude. I mean, that is... I would have loved to have seen that from his GoPro that he wears on his head to see exactly what that angle looked like. The last really dude of the weekend. Come on, it's right here at Chicago. Everything going on into turns 1 and 2. They're 3 wide, they're 4 wide. They don't have a caution to fall back on. And yet look at all the calamity here. 90-degree corner in turn 1, 90-degree corner in turn 2. These guys were just beating and banging off of each other. That is one collective really dude to end that one. But could have been a lot worse, I guess we could say. But yeah, a lot of mishaps to cover in the last couple weeks for sure.
You know what I like about the Chicago one is that in real life, in the Cup race, we saw the same thing happen. So it's not like this is just
and they
an
restarted
iRacing
single
deal.
file.
Yeah, they restarted single file. They had a track blocking incident that looked just like Austin Powers. So, you know, it happens to the best of them, whether you're iRacing, Camille, or whether you're Cup racing.
It happens to the best of them. But stop having it here in the sim. Come on. Really, dude? I really want to get into that one. That's really fun. But let's talk about the track. Hopefully we don't see any really dudes in this one, Alan.
Yeah, just about 12 minutes from going green. This is Nashville Super Speedway, located actually in Lebanon, Tennessee. 1.33 miles. The turns just 14 degrees of banking. The front and back stretch only 6 degrees, so that's pretty flat for a track like this. Opened back in 2001. The drivers tell me there's a bump somewhere in turns 3 and 4. They will have to navigate all night. And look, 2022 winner Ray Alfalla, he's not in the race tonight, so this is wide open, Blake.
That it is. By the way, can confirm, definitely a bump in the middle of turns 3 and 4 there. Let's see if we can see it here on this lap provided to us here by Michael Conti. As this is what is so tough about Nashville Super Speedway. You're going to see them down, shifting a little bit into 4th. Don't think we're going to go all the way down to 3rd at this racetrack, but it is so tight off the exit of the corner. You can see him lift there, kind of halfway down the back straightaway, a little bit of brake getting into the corner, and when you get into the throttle here, it's so important that you run up against the wall just right close to it, but you don't hit it. It's certainly not going to work out well. You're going to lose a toe link if you do that, and it's very easy mistake to make here at Nashville Super Speedway. So a really tight, tough racetrack on a mile and a third for these drivers tonight.
All right, well, let's get a peek at the drivers, a live look at them getting ready for the race. Let's take a look.
You can see them all practicing, getting ready.
They're very focused. That's what I was just about to say.
Well, and they should be, right? I mean, we can't emphasize enough. There's only 3 races to go before the playoffs start. A lot of these drivers, Blake, Camille, they need a win. They don't just want to win. They don't just want a good finish. Some of them absolutely need a win, and a win only. That makes you do some different things and make different decisions.
Yeah, from, a win there to a win for our picks, hopefully. Yes, it is time to take a look. Alan, let's just say you've been doing an amazing job with picks recently. I hope this kindness just makes you get this one wrong for me, at least, because Blake in last is okay. I could take second. They do say second's the best.
Right.
No?
All right. Well, look, 294. That's pretty awesome. That's insurmountable, I think, is the word. Look it up in the dictionary, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes after.
All right. Well, let's get to who we're picking for this race. I just like how Blake's silent for this whole thing. Like,
it hasn't been the year that we wanted, but you know what? We're going to turn it around starting tonight. I'm going to go with my man out of Illinois. He's starting 4th tonight that I'm looking on the grid. I think Matt Busa. We've seen how fast William Byron Esports has been this year. Haven't been able to get a win yet. Between Nick and Matt, I think Matt is the man tonight. Matt Busa, he was live in Chicago last week. He's live at Nashville this week. He's going to get the job done.
Oh, the camera caught me looking at my stats, Camille, because Matt Busa only has 1 top 10 all year. So another long shot for Blake here.
Oh, wow. Picks are getting a little bit hot here. All right, Alan, who are you picking?
Well, some of this is prevent defense, but some of this is just pure raw speed and making the right pick. From Charlotte, North Carolina area, I'm going with Michael Conti, a beautiful number 8 for Junior Motorsports. And we know he has the wins. We know he has the
starting 19th, though. Just throwing that out there. 19th, not 4th.
Well, then it'll be an even better show than it should be when he comes from 19th to the victory.
Hey, Blake, you just keep that stat to yourself because I also picked Michael Conti. I guess I was buttering you up, Alan, because I knew we were going to pick the same driver. I'm really hoping Michael Conti comes through here and we could leave Blake in the dust.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have no doubt about that. A big number 8 fans tonight. Camille, thanks for also picking that because now you can't gain on me at all. And we will just keep going to next week and going to next week. And I'm trying to get this title for myself.
You know what? I'm just hoping that we both make it through so we could keep ragging on Blake a little bit more. But this just in, Alan, you may not like it. Nick Ottinger is pole sitter right now. None of our picks.
Telling you, William Byron Esports, they got the speed tonight.
Okay, all right. I see you. I'm excited for tonight, as we all are. You know, there are only a few more races until playoffs, and there's a lot of exciting moments that could hopefully come. Right before we go, let's get your final thoughts, Blake, heading in to Nashville tonight.
Oh, yeah, and I think Nashville's a track that really opens itself up for strategy. We're not quite at a mile and a half, so these drivers can go pretty long distance-wise in terms of fuel. I think with 3 races left, we're going to see a lot of drivers think outside the box tonight.
Thinking outside the box, Alan. Do you think that's going to come into play?
Absolutely, only because they need it. You know, we keep talking about the team standings, the point standings, and what drivers have to do. We were focusing on relegation, and those drivers outside of the top 20 that can maybe make a move, their only shot at a playoff and a title is getting a victory. So you're going to need some differing strategy. If you want to beat the Michael Contis of the world, if you want to beat the William Byron Esports of the world, you're going to need some different strategy. That's why I love this playoff system.
Now, I know a lot of people are going for the grand prize, that championship, but relegation, I feel like it could weigh really heavy on them. So we may even see some mistakes because the mental game is maybe weighing down on them as well.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of races going on in your head as you're driving tonight.
And no one wants to be fighting their way to back into the series for next year as well. But we still have a few more races to go for that, and that's starting tonight with Nashville. Thank you for watching Countdown to Green, presented by Wendy's. Stay tuned right after this break because we have the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series right after this.
I need to try it first.
Wendy's is open until midnight or later, so come get that Baconator.
Give me one honk if you want a Baconator.
Yeah, give me 2 honks if you want Tyler to make it.
Go night mode. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's Baconator.
This is our series, where the stakes are always higher, where virtual meets reality. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Yeah, look at my shine with the blow. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like walk. Time's right, and I know the seas walking in a long night. Promise you won't wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high risers, high tide. My crown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you wanna play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Don't step up to my team. Yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
With just 3 races remaining in the regular season, there's no better time or place than the Music City for these drivers to tune up their season. Hello, everyone, and welcome from iRacing's virtual Nashville Super Speedway, where we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome into round 12 of the 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing season. My name is Blake McCandless. I'm joined alongside tonight by Alan Cavana. And Alan, we talked about it in Countdown to Green. The time clock is ticking and running out for these drivers to try and solidify their spot in the playoffs. We come back to an oval after visiting the streets of Chicago, but nevertheless, a very tight and tough racetrack for these drivers to tackle tonight.
And as that clock ticks, the pressure only gets more and more and more because time is running out. If you need that victory, if you have to make it in the top 10, whether it be on points or getting the victory, the opportunities are running out. And now tonight, we go to a challenging racetrack like Nashville Super Speedway that presents its challenges, its potential strategy calls. Someone could steal one tonight, but there's a lot of good competition out there.
That there certainly is. Again, 40 drivers very hungry to try and solidify their spot in this series as they are already ready down on the starting grid as we'll show you the starting lineup for tonight's race at Nashville Super Speedway. It'll once again be Nick Ottinger for William Byron Esports. 29.406 is the quick time tonight for Timmy Holmes for RFK Racing to start on the outside of the front row. Malik Ray looking to make his first playoff appearance will be on the inside of row number 2. William Byron Esports' other driver, Matt Busa, he will roll off from the 4th position. Chicago's winner and points leader in the playoff standings, Bobby Zielinski, will start 5th tonight for JGR. Jimmy Mullis looking to rebound after his close, narrow loss at Charlotte. Rise Esports' own will start in the 6th position. Casey Kerwin for XSET Gaming, the former series champion, will go 7th. Parker White, he finished 2nd at Chicago last week for Tony Kanaan, will go from 8th. Vicente Salas looking to make up some ground tonight in the point standings. Will start 9th for Williams Esports, and Cody Bias for ESE. We'll round out your top 10, Alan.
And then inside of row 6, we have Stephen Wilson for Stuart Haas Racing, Ryan Doucette on the outside in the number 77. Row 7, Derek Bordeaux is in the number 1 on the inside. Meanwhile, Garrett Lowe for Jim Beaver Esports on the outside. Moving on to row 8, Ryan Loser repping the set on the inside. And E-Racers, Colin Keister in the 42 on the outside. Row 9, Tucker Minter, already a couple wins this season for Team Dillon. And on the outside, 88 of Kevin King for Junior Motorsports. Row 10, Michael Conti, my pick for tonight, Junior Motorsports on the inside, starting next to Daniel Falkingham in the 54 for Joe Gibbs Racing, Blake.
Starting 21st for the Charlotte Phoenix, it's Femi Ola. And 22nd for the Kansas City Pioneers, it's the 31 of Derek Justice. Corey Vincent starts 23rd tonight, representing the Pittsburgh Knights. 24th for Stort Haas Esports is Dylan Duvall. The number 51 of Donovan Strauss for Williams Esports starts 25th tonight. The inside of row 13 with Wyatt Tinsley to his outside, the other Kansas City Pioneers entry. 27th tonight is Colin Bowden for eRacer with Brandon McKissick and Latart Esports representing the 28th starting spot. Keegan Leahy for 2311 in 29th, and Alan Bowes will go from 30th for front row.
On row 16, we have Zach Novak for Rise Esports, starting next to Tyler Gary for Tony Kanon in the 6th. Row 17, Michael Cozy Jr. in front row Motorsports, starting next to Garrett Maines for FGR Excel there in the 12. Row 18, Michael Guest for 2311 Racing, starting next to Graham Bolin. A little surprising to see Graham Bolin way back there in that position. Row 19, Dylan Alt in the 40. Jordy Lopez, a winner this year for Team Dylan, start way back there. And finally, Caden Honeycutt bringing up the field in the number 17 for Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. Blake.
Congratulations to Kenny Honeycutt. Announced a deal with Nice Motorsports today to run in the Craftsman Truck Series for them at Pocono. But tonight it is all about the all-time leader in terms of pole positions in this series. Nick Ottinger gets his 22nd pole. And Alan, let's get his final thoughts before we take the green flag.
Nick, congratulations on the pole run. Good season going so far, but no win yet. How do you translate that speed to a race win tonight? What's the challenge?
I think all through this season we've been in position. You know, we've had some ill-timed cautions for us throughout the year and just had some people better than us. So, you know, it's just about being the top dog tonight and, you know, coming through and for this 25 Logitech G team.
Last year at Nashville, 30th place. What makes the difference tonight for you?
Forgetting about last year, because I didn't even know I finished 30th last year. So,
that's a good strategy.
Focus on tonight, keep leading some laps tonight, and, just make sure our car is clean to contend for the end of this race.
Nick Ottinger trying to make a good year even better. Your car owner, William Byron, won in the Cup Series. Let's see if you can do it tonight as well. Blake?
We'll see if he can again. First through 33rd tonight, separated by less than 0.2 of a second in terms of qualifying. It is a competitive one, as we'll get the one-to-go signal this time. Alan, let's take a look at our race analysis presented by Wendy's.
Yeah, 100 laps tonight, 133 miles. You see the pit road speed at 45. Pit lane time, something you have to factor in as you make that pit stop. Tire sets, 3 of them, the estimated fuel window, Blake, you see it there, 66 to 70 laps. What does that mean? 1 pit stop. Do you do it early? Do you do it late? What do we know about tire wear? All these things teams have been practicing and have to factor in tonight.
Certainly going to be the case. Again, 3 sets available on pit road, and of course the additional set that they have on their machines right now as the field is doubled up and ready to go on the back straightaway. As we mentioned, the lights are off on the pace car, and we are set to get rolling here at the front of the field. Got to give a nod, I think, Alan, to Timmy Holmes. This has been a tough year for Timmy Holmes, that RFK Racing number 6, but he is in prime position to take advantage of this race on the outside of the front row. Malik Ray, we saw him. He is right inside the playoff cut line heading into tonight. I'm sure he'll look to gain some ground on that as the pace car will dive down to the safety of the pit lane. 100 laps on the docket from the Music City tonight as we say, let's go racing from Nashville Superspeedway. Off of the second corner, clean and down into turn number 3 for the first time. It appears it'll be Nick Ottinger who will have control of the race lead all by himself. Second position, a toss-up right now between Malik Ray and Timmy Holmes as they complete the opening circuit.
Yeah, Timmy Holmes, again, one of those races where one win can change your entire season. Timmy Holmes coming into this race with 0 top 10s already on the season. So to qualify up front, to be running here and to have that opportunity still ahead of you where 1 win and improving your points position could put you in a great position to make a playoff run, just a few laps in, still holding his own, that's a good sign for the number 6.
See if he can hold on to that as he is able to overtake Malik Ray right there for the second position. You can see throughout the field, still some 2 and some 3 wide going on a little bit further back, but everybody right now, Alan, it is a long conga line right now to fight down to the bottom of the racetrack. Everybody trying to get down there and get some grip in those tires.
Absolutely. One of those races, and we can see back here, the 41 and 51 going too wide through the corner, trying to make some passes, trying to get as much traction early. Talking with the drivers, Blake, you hear about how tough it may pass, how one lane may dominate tonight. So forcing your way through maybe, especially early, may be the way to do it.
It may be. There was a slip there off of turn 4. It was the 77 of Ryan Doucette. He caught a little bit of the outside wall and may even have a little bit of damage with his Pittsburgh Knights Toyota. We'll have to check in with that. You can see him on the left-hand side of your screen, was able to gather it up, but not before losing a handful of positions or so before that. But so far, single filing out. And hearing down from the pits, at least from our second place runner in Timmy Holmes. Timmy, it's yours going into turn 3. That was communication between Timmy Holmes and Malik Ray, Alan. So at least the thinking here, you could see Malik Ray building up a gap, but not going to be the case any longer. Trouble in turn 3. Ryan Luza is parked up on the outside retaining wall. It is a single car incident, or at least he got the worst end of it, as he is limping away from the scene of the accident. So already early trouble here on lap number 5 at Nashville. I'd be curious to see exactly how this happened.
Yeah, we'll see how that played out. Not the best year so far for Ryan Luza. Obviously teammates with Casey Kerwin, who's the defending champion. Repping the set, you expect a lot of speed out of that team. Ryan Luza looking for some better results on the year, but first 5 laps, Nick Ottinger just dominating, keeping that lead that he got earned with the pole. But Timmy Holmes really, keeping his own and staying up there. We'll get a replay of what happened to Ryan Luza here. But, kudos early here to Timmy Holmes. Here's the replay, Blake.
I think it was contact. Look at the car on the bottom. That's Garrett Lowe, and Luza, I think, down the back straightaway.
Ooh.
It's hard to really tell who went up and who went down, but nevertheless, remember, these two got together a little bit earlier this year at Las Vegas. So we'll see if that comes back to fruition again.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, it's a lot of damage for Ryan Luza. As we see one more perspective. This is from Michael Conti. Your pick, Alan. He just missed that one.
Ooh, yeah, a little brush up there on the wall for the 8 car. But in terms of Luza and the 15 and who did what, you need one more replay to determine, or maybe get the judges' scorecard, who went down, who went up on the backstretch, because there was certainly no love lost between those 2 cars there.
Certainly the case, as Ryan Luza and a couple more cars will take the opportunity to come down pit road here early on in the going on lap number 5. But of course, if you want any updates on everything going on in the iRacing and eNASCAR world, or of course if you want to sign up today and start your journey to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, you can look at the QR code on the right hand side of your screen and sign up today to get your sim racing career started. Of course, iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. And of course, for more information on everything going on this series, the schedule, standings, and of course the chase to the championship, you can find all of that information and more, as well as how to potentially find your way in this series through the Road to Pro ladder. Again, you can check all of that out at eNASCAR or iRacing.com/eNASCAR today. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, you can sign up today on iRacing.com if you want to see what it's like to drive these next-gen cars here at Nashville Super Speedway, or a myriad of other combinations of cars and tracks. It is all available on iRacing today. You can get a pretty good vantage point, Alan. I remember back at the Hall of Fame that you were finally able to hop behind one of those motion rigs and kind of take your hand at it. And, I got to say, first-timer didn't do a bad job.
It was not pretty, but that just goes to show you how difficult it is, how skilled you have to be, and it made me just appreciate what these 40 drivers do so much more, and all the hundreds of thousands of iRacers that are out there, because any notion that I had that it would be easy was so dumb of me. So to be able to experience it firsthand, and look, you and I were in Chicago for the NASCAR weekend, and a big part of that was, of course, how iRacing contributed to that weekend, and during it, They brought their rigs to the people, right? A lot of people got to try iRacing for the first time. Matt Busa was out there racing the Chicago race we had here in the Coke Series while we were broadcasting. He did the race live from there, but being able to bring it to the people, that was really cool aspect of it.
It certainly was. 5 cars went down pit road. Caden Honeycutt, Garrett Maines, Doucette, Bowden, and Luza. They took fuel only at the rear end of the field. And on lap 8, we will throw the green flag once again to get things back underway. A great launch there in that second row from Malik Ray. We're going to get a vantage point of Dylan Alt here with the Coca-Cola onboard camera. And there you see how tight things can get here at Nashville as Dylan Alt got checked up a little bit on the outside line, but we've had a change up front. Malik Ray still looking for his first win in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, has made his way to second. And how about Casey Kerwin? I feel like every single week, Alan, we talk about this 95 car making moves early in these races, and at least for now, trying to ride the middle, get a little bit of clean air on his nose, and he's going to challenge for third from the 7th starting spot where he rolled off.
And let's not forget, he's still the defending champion, and he's that for a reason as he tries to make the second lane work out there. But he's one of the drivers that can do that so far. On a night where passing is at a premium, where one lane may be stronger than the others, the fact that he's able to hang out there in the second lane, especially through 3 and 4 coming up here with the bumps that they have. He's Casey Kerwin. He's the champ for a reason. You can see the in-car there, the concentration, the big trophy, sending another reminder that, yeah, I'm still the champ.
Certainly trying to do that as he gets by. We'll take a look in a ride here with the driver out of Conway, South Carolina, and Timmy Holmes. Again, mentioned how important this race was for him, Alan. We talked about these different drivers and the momentum that they have coming into this series. I think this is a nice little shot in the arm for Timmy Holmes and that number 6 team to be starting out front. We know how important track position is here and setting himself up well, running here inside the top 5 and in front of your winner from last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, in Bobby Zielinski.
And such an opportunity with this starting position for Timmy Holmes to show the field who he is. I see this a lot on the Sunday races, right, Blake, in terms of Timmy Holmes running up front, not where we're used to seeing him this season. He is running amongst other people that he hasn't been running with throughout the year. Can he rise up to that talent level? Can he hang with them on these restarts? Dropped a few after the latest restart, so we have to see what he can do. As we look a little bit back in the field, this is the race for 18th, 19th, and 20th there. Getting a little dicey, 2 by 2 as we get mid-pack.
And Timmy Holmes 25th in the series standings right now, but a win, you would imagine, with the amount of points that would come with it, would potentially be good enough to make him top 20 eligible, as there's some smoke a little bit further up the road. No car goes around, at least that we can see. But certainly a lot going on. I think right around there where you find them 2 and 3 wide, that's Daniel Falkingham, Colin Keister, trying to make it 4 almost as they head down to the turn 1.
And Blake, you've done plenty of laps on this track. Does 4 wide work at Nashville?
3 wide doesn't work here, so I can't imagine that 4 wide would be any better. These guys at least made it happen for at least 1 lap, but they're going to be willing to make that move for sure, but they sorted out. Can't imagine what that stack-up was for a little bit further up the road. And at a precarious spot, again, with these next-gen cars and how snappy they can get off of turn 2. Not exactly the place you want to be making contact on the backstretch. We saw with that car right there and Garrett Lowe what that can do as he and Ryan Luzit tangled on lap 8. We'll get one more look at it. Again, look at Garrett Lowe On the bottom side, that is Vicente Salas in the 55. And oh my goodness, that is, I don't think people understand how difficult that save is when the car's pitched to the right there. They did go 4 wide, and somehow they didn't crash. That is incredible.
Wow, that is Michael Conti, and is that only 27? I mean, just great racing there to be able to hold it there 4 wide, but an eventful start to this race for the 15 of Garrett Lowe. Let's hope it settles down for him a little bit.
I think he's hoping for the same as Colin Keister up the racetrack. He is sliding that Baconator car around, and unfortunately, he is going to go around hard to the outside wall. Dylan Alt gets collected, and one more scattered along with him. That is Derek Justice for the Kansas City Pioneers, and caution flag will come out from Nashville Super Speedway for the second time, as there's a little bit too much sizzle on that Baconator ride of Colin Keister right there.
I love it, and the replay will tell us the truth. It looked like he had a little help from the 41 of Dylan Duval. That's what started that incident, but look who's out there in front. Malik Ray with a heck of a restart last time as we sort out the caution number 2 of the night, 19 laps into the race at Nashville Super Speedway.
By the way, caution number 2, want to remind everybody out there in the chat that Wendy's has just said you can get a Baconator combo for $2 off in the Wendy's app. So nice little reminder there. The rest of the field is going to pit as Nick Ottinger will stay out on lap 20. We'll see if that works out for him. We'll take one more look at what brought out our second yellow of the night.
41 of Dylan Duval. I didn't
now
see
Duval
Keister
was
come down too much.
Duval was upset a couple of laps ago. He queued up on the radio and said, "Come on, guys, what are we doing?" So perhaps a little frustration.
Yeah, we'll get another look here from Keegan Leahy, but I didn't see the 42 move down too much. Let's see what we can get out of this. Up ahead a little bit. Not a ton of detail there, but the 42 getting the worst of it. And then collecting some other cars, leading to the caution, which may jumble up this entire field in terms of the pit strategy we just saw.
It certainly will. Again, that fuel window is probably at the far end of it, about 70 laps or so as far as you can go. So with about 80 laps to go, we'll see if this works out. I don't like the situation that Nick Ottinger is in right now. Alan, we talk about how many wins that Nick Ottinger has left on the table this year in terms of the points, but look at him making the gamble. Garrett Maines also stayed out, and so did Colin Bowden. And on the hood of Colin Bowden's car, you can see the eRacer Firecracker 400 paint scheme on that 69 race car. You have about 40 minutes if you want to sign up for that race that begins with preliminary events tomorrow. The 1987 cars at Bumpy Daytona, the 2008 Legacy Edition that's here on iRacing. You can sign up for that. Again, you got about 40 minutes to do it or so. And I think, do I have a link to post in the chat to register? Yeah, there we go. So if you're in our Twitch chat, click that link in the chat. You can register for the race right now.
Multi-talented Blake doing so many things at once. Let's set up this pit strategy, because a lot of the leaders, Malik Ray, he pitted. You have to believe they think that's the only time they may, or they may not pit again if we get enough cautions. At least that's what maybe on. If you're Nick Ottinger, you hope they either have to run out of gas or pit again, because the 25 still has to make his maybe one and only pit stop. So it is a clear, defined role between the strategies right now as to where you want to be and how this race plays out. Nick Ottinger hoping the fuel mileage isn't so great for the Malik Rays of the world.
No, it is not. And again, those fresh tires, we know it was only about 20 laps or so, but that is enough to make a big difference at this racetrack. We'll see if these top 3 can hang on with this strategy call. Nick Ottinger once again in control of the field on lap 21 as we get back underway here at Nashville.
And the best thing for Nick Ottinger right now.
Trouble, turn 1. It is Michael Cozy Jr. who has gone around after a stack up getting into the first corner. And you can see the damage, and it's not a meatball flag, but you can see the amount of damage on the left front fender of Michael Cozy Jr. as I believe it was contact with Michael Guest around the 30th position or so. And I would say really the first hiccup or mishap for Michael Cozy Jr. this season, who again is just inside the cut line when it comes to points and trying to make the playoffs.
Yes, every one of these incidents just more vital as we get later and later in the season.
Third caution flag is out of the night. We already have strategy on our hands, but we will step away for just a moment. Right now, it is Nick Ottinger, your race leader here in the Music City.
Wendy's is open until midnight or later, so come get that Baconator.
Give me one honk if you want a Baconator.
Hey, give me 2 honks if you want Tyler to make it.
Go night mode. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's Baconator.
There's a thin line in the NASCAR Xfinity Series between winning and losing, between being the future and being past, between headlines and tailspins, between making history and being it, between the sweet taste of victory and the fumes of defeat. In the NASCAR Xfinity Series, there's a thin line between being a name they know and being a name they'll never forget.
The eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And by Wendy's. If you're not baconating, what are you doing? The Baconator's got 6 strips of oven-baked bacon and a half pound of fresh, never-frozen beef. So yeah, grab your Baconator today and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's. Pacing around here at Nashville Superspeedway, believe that, yes, we have gotten the 1-to-go signal. Lights are off on the pace car. With Nick Ottinger, Garrett Maines, and Malik Ray, your top 3. What was the last point that Camille asked us about in Countdown to Green presented by Wendy's? Alan, what was your final thoughts? Was how much strategy was going to shake out? I think we have that right before our eyes just early on in this race, 25 laps in.
We saw that quite early. Nick Ottinger, I don't think he wanted to see that caution or any other caution because of the strategy he's on, one of the few cars that decided to stay out. These cautions help everybody that already pitted make that fuel window. I have to imagine that's going through Nick Ottinger's mind, Blake.
Certainly will. This is the vantage point from Matt Busa, who runs just outside the top 10. We'll take you through the sights and sounds of the Music City with the Logitech onboard camera. Back up at the front of the field, nearly had a battle for the race lead across the start-finish line as the Firecracker 400 machine is trying to get the job done here at Nashville. And indeed, down to the bottom of turns 3 and 4, Colin Bowden is going to send it in. Almost contact with Nick Ottinger. They'll lean on each other. Vicente Salas, he's going to make it 3 wide for the top spot.
For the lead, Colin Bowden in the 69 car. We got 3 wide in the back there with Matt Busa and Femi. But that battle for the lead, Colin Bowden, we don't see him battling for the lead ever so often. So when he's up there, he's going to put on a show, and he's doing that now as Nick Ottinger has more than he bargained for, at least going off this restart.
not going to be able to get it done this time by. Nick Ottinger is able to escape, as now Bowden and Salas nearly come to blows here in the middle of turns 3 and 4. So a good bout going on now. Zielinski goes for the move. Contact into turn 1 as Zielinski had to check up off the apron and nearly scraped the infield grass here trying to get around Colin Bowden.
And every move we see, we have to take into account where they are in the standings. Look at this battle on top of your screen. But Bobby Zielinski, 3 wins, nothing to lose. He can be a little more aggressive. The 69 of Colin Bowden needs a win to change his entire season, maybe avoid relegation. Different strategies going on, different mindsets as we race around Nashville Superspeedway.
Well, again, in the race for the lead, up front, Vicente Salas is the first driver that pit on lap 19 for that caution and took 4 tires. So he is trying to chase down Nick Ottinger with slightly fresher tires than what your race leader has. They sorted things out right now for 4th. Now the battle is for 5th. Garrett Maines, remember the strategy that he employed at Worldwide Technology Raceway, trying to stay out late the going, nearly had that race won, trying to do the same thing here or pull off the same feat as he's side by side with Steven Wilson, again, who has fresher tires in that number 10 Smithfield Ford.
A lot of 2x2 racing coming off this restart, especially when we have the mixed strategy, some on new tires, some not, trying to take advantage of that as quickly as you can off of a restart. Blake, we have 2x2 action throughout the field. Back at the front of the field, Malik Ray, we knew he was fast, but he made that pit stop as those 4 new tires. He needs to take advantage of that now, knowing there are cars in front of him with older tires on a different strategy. He needs to make up as much track position right now as he can.
Certainly the case, and I just have the feeling over these last couple of weeks, these last couple of months, Malik Ray having his best season in series history, running in the top 10 in points right now. Alan, I know every once in a while you kind of have to put yourself in position enough times to have an opportunity to win a race, and I think Malik Ray is showing us just that he's put himself in position enough times this year. I don't think that win is too far away. As on lap 33, another change for the top spot. Your driver, who is right now last in the series standings in terms of points, he is leading the way here at Nashville. Vicente Salas to the point here in the Music City.
Some different names up front. Some of it is strategy, some of it a little surprise. We were talking Timmy Holmes, Vicente Salas, who hasn't had the year that obviously he has wanted. What do you think is lending itself to this, Blake? Why are we seeing different names up front than we've been used to throughout the season?
Well, again, I think you bring up that strategy, and whether drivers took 4 tires, whether they took 2, can certainly play into the factor here. But I think we're starting to see, at least late in this season, that some drivers really feel as though they have nothing to lose. If you're Vicente Salas, you're so far out of it at this point. For comparison, Colin Bowden's 35th in points. He has 102 points. Vicente Salas has 63. So I think at this point in the season, relegation may be out of the window. Even competing for the playoffs is certainly out of the window. For now, you're just looking for wins. You're looking to get dubs. And I think for Salas right now, he got the strategy. He's got a fast enough car to be able to do it. As you can look on the right-hand side of your screen there for just a moment, that was the live standings as they run right now. You can see Malik Ray, of course, with that top 5, helping his case so far tonight to continue to try to move up.
And that's what's so interesting about the point system as we see it there again. Right now, Malik Ray, a good finish, sort of a good finish cements your position in the top 10, but a win makes it so they can't take it away from you. So how aggressive can you be if you're Malik? You don't want to risk too many things and risk that top 10 spot that you have going in the point standings right now. So much mind stuff going on within a driver's head as they try to pursue that victory. We were talking about Vicente Salas, the leader outside the top 20. So Blake, the way it works is a victory. You have to have a victory and be inside the top 20 to have that win count toward a playoff spot. So Vicente has a lot of work to do, but he could certainly at least be a disruptor, and winning never hurts no matter what your points position is.
Certainly case in a correction there. That's the point standings coming into tonight, not as they run right now. Of course, that would hurt more than likely Michael Cozy Jr., who after that contact earlier on, he is off the pace, 19 seconds behind the field and running in the 38th position after contact with Michael Guest in turn 1. So more than a third of the way through, Nick Ottinger has lost the race lead, lost a little bit of that clean air. But I got to say, Alan, it's working out better than expected as Garrett Maines, Garrett Lowe, that is further back in the field. We talked about the differing strategy, and I think now that it's kind of the reaping for those drivers who stayed out on those old tires, not exactly working out for them now as they continue to wear and continue to fall back. The new tires are certainly working out for those drivers, and I think right now they're just hanging on and hoping that something else happens soon.
Yeah, Nick Ottinger falling back to fourth. Again, you have to imagine he's hoping this race goes green until the end. He still needs to make a pit stop. If this race goes green, he's relying on the other drivers having to make an additional pit stop. Maybe he cycles out to the lead. The strategy is on his side. But if they can extend the window, the drivers that made their pit stop around 1920, the race is in their hands.
That it is. And speaking of in their hands, we're going to put things in the drivers' hands as we are going to take you around Nashville Superspeedway and go iRacing full throttle. Couple laps have gone by. You see a change up front for the second position. Vicente Salas has continued to extend his lead. It's now to about 1.3 seconds over Steven Wilson, who just passed Bobby Zielinski a moment ago to go into second. Malik Ray has also been chasing down Bobby Zielinski late in this run and making up a couple of spots. As you can see how much better Malik Ray is able, how hard that car is able to enter the corner right now compared to that 18 Interstate Batteries Camry. And Zielinski, at least for now, going to try to defend from the top side. Malik Ray going to go to the bottom and try to move up into third.
Yeah, pound for pound, the 7 car looks like the best one so far tonight. Again, especially since he made that pit stop with a bunch of the other cars, getting that new rubber. Got to shout out Vicente, who's still extending his lead. But look what the tire difference is, Blake, with Nick Ottinger. He is now down to 9th, 3 seconds behind the leader after having a pretty considerable lead on the field after starting on the pole. The tire strategy, having
trouble
those new
turn
tires.
2. Brandon McKissick has gone around as they were 3 wide in the middle of turn 2. You can see what is left of his McConey setup shop Chevrolet. And I think that is going to be the saving grace for those drivers we were just talking about. Nick Ottinger, Colin Bowden, Garrett Maines, who were kind of in a free fall through the field in terms of their strategy. So this will shake everything up. And, you know, at this point, Alan, with the fuel window, we could look at what would be the final pit stops for these drivers, at least in terms of being able to make it on fuel.
You would expect it, especially with the tire difference. Again, in that last 25-lap run, we saw how valuable new tires would be to stay. The racetrack would seem a little foolish, so I expect to see a very busy pit road right now to get that new rubber.
We'll see how much rubber they're willing to take. Again, they started with 3 sets on the pit lane. Most of the drivers elected to take one already. So they would lead just a single set, assuming that they take 4 tires here. But the call could be 4, it could be 2, as this time it will only be Alan Bowes, the lone car, who stays out. You can see that Loves Ford at the front of the field. He is the only driver who is not going to make his trip down to pit lane. You can see the rest of the field and how their pit stops are going. And we'll update you on who leaves pit road.
You know, Blake, sometimes it's the best way to get your sponsor a little attention is just do something different from the rest of the field and get that bright yellow Loves number 34, get it some love, if you will. And, you know, if you're not going to win anyway, might as well get your sponsor some attention. That's what it's doing right now.
Well, and again, we know that staying out may not be the best strategy, but what did we see on that last trip around when we had a long green flag run? We saw a couple of cautions. You'd imagine that that would help. For sure, if you're in Alan Bose's position. It looks like Steven Wilson going to lead the race off of pit road. Jimmy Mullis, Nick Ottinger, Timmy Holmes, all in front of what was your race leader in Vicente Salas. So Salas loses about 5 spots on pit road this time. We'll take one more look. Cody Bias in the 27, Corey Vincent in the 2. Vincent going to use the apron getting into the corner. Trying to see what, oh yeah, McKissick just gets a little bit free. Not sure if there was a little bit contact on the right rear from McKissick. We'll see one more time. This is from Michael Guest's perspective. Oh yeah, so Vincent slipped up just a hair. McKissick reacted to it. Nowhere for Bias or for McKissick to go.
Mere inches, you know, a race of inches down in the corner. Nothing egregious, but cause the incident 3 wide, not where you want to be, especially in the middle.
Well, again, you want to run right on the apron here in these corners, so occasionally you may slip into it and slip up as a result.
Nice comeback for Steven Wilson in terms of, if you remember Chicago, he was on the pole and immediately Blake lost the lead on that initial start of the race and was never able to get it back after having a fast race car, probably a race-winning car if he had the track position, but right from the start wasn't able to take advantage of it. And Brandon McKissick joining us now. We saw what happened going 3 wide into that corner. Tell us about it from your perspective, what you saw and what happened out there, Brandon.
The same guy who took us 3 for like 28th place pushed up at the groove, and then I had nowhere to go, and that's what happens. Overall, it sums up the season, unfortunately. It's just, I have no words for what just happened.
Yeah, tough season so far. No top 10s on the season. How's the damage? Where are you at in terms of finishing out this Nashville race?
We're killed. I might as well just start practicing New Hampshire now, so yeah.
Well, thank you, Brandon. Sorry to have your night end like that, but a little hopeful for the next one, Blake. That's the only thing you could say when your night goes wrong is start prepping for the next one, and that's another opportunity to get a checkered flag. Tough night for Brandon McKissick.
We'll get an opportunity here for these drivers to prepare for New Hampshire Motor Speedway. When we go there, we will be open setup before the regular season finale at Pocono in about a month or so. That will be a fixed setup for these drivers. Again, they're using open setup tonight. They'll use it throughout the playoffs, but just one more race here at Pocono. These drivers will be fixed again. So these are the updated point standings that they are now live for you. So hats off to our production crew for getting that working for everybody out there. You can see how it changes with Alan Bose as your race leader. Don't imagine that that will be the case here in about a lap or so. But you can see Steven Wilson already with 1 win on the outside, Alan Bose on the inside. Certainly shake things up here in the playoffs as we approach the halfway point of this one and into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out, and Alan Bose able to get a good jump as your race leader.
Yeah, great restart, and you see the live points there, the value of a win and just how significant it can be to change your season and what it can do throughout the whole field. Again, Alan Bose, number 34, leading the field on a different strategy. Don't expect him to stay there for too long, but we have the caution already out for Femi, Blake.
Femi Olot in the back of the field. And a stack up, there was a huge checkup on the outside line. I'm not exactly sure where it started, but it was about 7 or 8 rows back, to the best of my recollection, that somebody just had some type of issue. I don't know if they didn't get going, they reacted late, or perhaps they spun the tires or missed a shift. But regardless, there was a huge stack up there on the top side, and I think just through that kind of rippled throughout the field. And unfortunately, somebody got the worst end of it. I believe it was, yes, indeed, Femi Olot for the Charlotte Phoenix. We'll see one more time exactly what happened there. I think Garrett Lowe may have been in the middle of it as well. He's had a very eventful night so far. And indeed, we'll cue up that replay, see exactly what happened. I think Bowden tried to look 3 on Garrett Lowe. Again, there was a checkup that was well in front of the 2 cars you saw on screen, the 69 of Bowden, the 43 of Femi Olot. I think Bowden tried to shoot the gap, had to check up, and by then Femi was trying to roll on the top side, but unfortunately just could not get it rolling. Again, we'll take a look back 2 weeks ago, the Chicago Street Course. First time that we've competed here in points competition in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And I got to say, Alan, for road courses, this is probably the most competitive race that we've seen in series history. When you talk about road courses, we've seen a couple of last lap moves and passes, but this race, front to back, had so much action at the front of the field.
It really was. From turn 1, Bobby Zielinski going from 3rd to 1st, and then just the battle for the lead, the battles throughout the race. No driver, no leader ever got out too far where it was out of hand for the driver in 2nd place. The racing that it produced was really fun. That you see how close they get, how tight this circuit was, and how much, banging and leaning on each other there was throughout the field. But ultimately, the race for the lead, it came down to a little bit of strategy, it came down to a whole lot of skill, and that's what I loved about the Chicago Street Course.
Again, I think there was a lot of concern coming in that this race was going to produce some big stack ups, some log jams, if you will. Didn't exactly produce that. It provided a really good show. Of course, it was tight, it was tough, it was a challenge for these drivers. But like you said, it raced very well. We saw a great battle at the end of the race. You see Vicente Salas right here, almost hitting the barrels. I got to talk to him about that just a couple days later at Chicago, and he was proud that at least he made the show when I talked to him through that move. You can see this is kind of where the Cup Series stacked it up right there at the very end of the racetrack. And out of it all, kind of the same song here with Bobby Zielinski winning at yet another road course, but Parker White did not make it easy on him.
Yeah, doing it with his skill. I mean, Parker White led a lot of that race, but kudos to the experience of Bobby Zielinski getting yet another road course victory. We're under caution, unfortunately, for Femi Olot. We'll talk to him now. Femi, how you doing, my friend? I'm sorry we're talking like this. That came right off a restart. What happened in front of you?
I think the car in front of me tried to go out of the car in front of him in a gap that didn't exist. And, just my luck, man. I think they're going to wreck, so I go to try to avoid it, and I'm the one who ends up wrecked. So
yeah.
The season's gone.
Tough year for you guys. How's the damage, and what are your prospects for the rest of this race tonight?
My car is broken, man. Steering's broken. I have an engine, so I mean, if they crash over and over, maybe I'll be good. But car's broke.
Well, it's good to look on the bright side of things. You got an engine. Well, if not tonight, we'll see what you can do in New Hampshire, and something of a home track for you up in Massachusetts. So sorry we're talking like this again, but best of luck the rest of the season and tonight. Blake, is Femi trying to make the most of a tough night?
I think that's all you can do, but we have seen so many times in these races, we've had drivers that feel as though they're down and out kind of through the first half of the race, but still a lot can happen in the next 47 laps. But indeed, it has been a tough year for Femi after his debut season in this series went so well. He won at Daytona in the season opener back in 2022, was an early lock for the playoffs as a result. And unfortunately, sometimes that sophomore year just does not go according to plan. So I hope that Femi keeps after it. And, if we do see him in the Contender Series, I don't think it'll be too shocking if we see him back here in 2024. But nevertheless, back up front, we talked about that strategy call for Alan Bowes. He is still up front as your race leader. Last pit on lap 19, the rest of the field on lap 46. So we'll try to fend off the rest of the field with 27 lap older tires in that Loves Ford for Front Row Motorsports. Pace car will dive down to the safety of the pits and see if Alan Bowes can hang on a little bit longer. A fantastic jump out of that number 34 car as he's clear by about 4, maybe 5 car lengths or so as they head off into the first corner, 2 and 3 wide behind him.
Exactly what he needs. Another great restart for Alan Bowes. He needs cautions and he needs track position. The way that they're able to keep this thing going and keep that car out front. I'm getting a little worried about Steven Wilson and his restarts, though, because as we saw in Chicago, that kind of cost him, and his last 2 restarts, not the best for the driver of the 10 car.
Not a great launch right there off of turn 2. As Jimmy Mullis right now, we talked about him and his very close effort at Charlotte that ended up not working out for him, but so far that star Sunoco Chevrolet is working out for Rise Esports as he runs in the 2nd position. Timmy Holmes right now in 4th, 3 wide behind him. Malik Ray, Ottinger, and not enough room for 3 wide. Is Matt Busa going to go around? Cody Bias, Derek Bordeaux, Zach Novak all scattered throughout the infield here. We are still green, no caution flag as they continue to wreck down into 1, and there the yellow flag comes out. A wreck that seemingly went on the entire front straightaway. And finally, it ends, unfortunately, with about 10 or so cars spinning on the front stretch.
You would think the big one happens at Talladega, Blake. We just saw the big one happen at Nashville Superspeedway.
That is tough. And again, a wreck that, again, was with Matt Busa, but ended up collecting several more cars in the process. We'll take another look back at it on the other side of this break. Up front right now, it is Alan Bowes, your race leader at Nashville.
I need to try it first.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
We now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at McConeySetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Here we are, months into the season, and already a year's worth of drama. Big names are back doing big things, even if it's for new teams. While the 24 isn't afraid to wear a couple new hats. And as for the racing, no words needed. It's coming in fast, so better keep your head on a swivel.
The eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And by McConey Setup Shop. McConey Setup Shop is the original iRacing setup shop and is trusted by real-world and virtual professionals to get the job done. Visit McConeySetupShop.com to see why they are the official setup shop of eNASCAR and choose a subscription to save money. McConey Setup Shop, our setups, your victories. All right, we will take another look back at the long wreck that brought out yet another yellow flag. We're going to see 3 wide, but they are already wrecking in front of them. It was Matt Busa who was shoved up into the outside wall off of turn 4, and then everybody kind of trying to re-merge before the corner, I would say, is what the primary cause of that was.
Yeah, it looked like that might have been the night. Was that in the 95 of Casey Kerwin and Matt Busa, who initially may have started that? We're going to get a closer look, but this blimp shot just showed us what it was like from the top. big consequential wreck here at Nashville Superspeedway. We don't often see wrecks like that at a track like this. So to see the jumble, and you can see what Alan Bowes, these caution laps are just benefiting the driver of that 34 in terms of strategy, in terms of having those older tires, in terms of having less fuel than everybody else. Interesting play going on right here as these caution laps tick off.
So we will reset things for you here. 40 laps to go. Alan Bowes still your race leader, so you can see how that would work out in terms of the championship standings. If he were to win, Alan, that would flip this entire playoff battle on his head, because again, Alan right now would be in the top 20 in points with that win, but again, it would make the job so much harder for Michael Cozy Jr., Matt Busa, Parker White, several drivers who are trying to point their way in. This would be a real hindrance to those drivers for sure.
Absolutely, and that just shows you the value of a win, what one win can do. I think about Parker White. We saw what those live point standings are. He was one position away from solidifying his spot in the playoff at Chicago, and now he finds himself in 13th, potentially even moving down a spot should the 34 of Alan Bowes get the win. And we'll be thinking about that spot for a long time if he doesn't make the playoffs.
The crew chief right now for Alan Bowes, former Coke Series driver Blake Reynolds, making some good calls atop the pit box for that number 34, as we'll work our way into the Geico restart zone once again. And much like the many other restarts we've seen out of Alan Bowes, great launch for that Loves Ford, and sees exactly what he wants to see in his rearview mirror, 2 and 3 wide throughout the field.
Clean air is what the 34 needs right now. But you look up front, you see Alan Bowes needs a win. Jimmy Mullis needs a win. Timmy Holmes in 4th needs to get that win, working his way back up. A lot of good talent up front, but a lot of different scenarios in terms of what these drivers need, as it's still 2x2 throughout much of the field. These restarts are so dangerous for some of these drivers.
You saw some contact there between Colin Bowden and Zach Novak a little further back in the field as they were 3 wide from our chopper cam. But still 2x2. And again, the more restarts we have, the more heat cycles we put on this tire. That's exactly what you want if you're Alan Bowes. Everybody side by side, slowing each other down. You need pretty much all of the racetrack here to make time because of how tight this track is. So Alan Bowes looks like the smartest man in the house right now. The problem is for Alan, can he make it on fuel the rest of the way? I think that'd be the only concern.
81 laps. We showed our pre-race fuel window. Sometimes these drivers and teams learn a little more than we know, but 81 laps sounds like a lot. But seeing the 2x2, especially 2nd and 3rd, Blake, that's exactly what Alan Bowes is enjoying in the rearview mirror right now. It's not only through the field, 2nd and 3rd battling themselves right now. They're only making their lap times slower. It's making an advantage for Alan Bowes on older tires, less fuel, but 2x2 is only helping him every lap that passes by.
My goodness, what a late send into turn 1 that time by Vicente Salas, who lost 5 spots through that pit cycle. His team told him earlier, do not save at all, and he's not going to save as he sends Timmy Holmes into turn 3. What a save by that number 6 car as he was doing a 4-wheel drift into the corner. It'll stack him up behind, but my goodness, was that some incredible driving by Timmy Holmes.
Great to see. Again, not a driver.
Victor gets hit up the racetrack 3 wide. There's a lot going on here in Nashville tonight.
Wow, and you know who's enjoying it more than us? Alan Bowes out there in the 34, because this is all happening behind him and just helping extend his lead. But a lot of action here in Nashville tonight. What I expected was a lot of single car racing, one good groove, trying to battle for it, and we're seeing 2 wide throughout the field, long into a run.
They're 2 wide further back. Unfortunately for Alan Bowes, they have single filed out behind him, and now with that, they're starting to reel him in a little bit. Those 27-lap older tires starting to show their age. As you can see, the 2 cars that are trying to chase him down, Steven Wilson in the 10, Jimmy Mullis in the 6, and as we just mentioned a second ago, Vicente Salas looking for what would be his 2nd career win after he won at Richmond last year. But the top 5 starting to chase down Allen, who's enjoyed a little bit of that track position, a little bit of clean air, but how much longer can he go?
And this is where, if the drivers don't realize the situation, the spotters, the crew chiefs have to tell Jimmy Mullis, have to tell Steven Wilson in second and third what the situation is, not to overcook it, not to overdo it. The longer this goes green, the longer they're single file, it should benefit them in terms of taking advantage of the 34, so they have to just be patient. They are better, faster, and better positioned strategy-wise to get this lead right here.
Wilson arced well down into the corner, trying to build up a run on Alan Bowes down the back straightaway. And one thing that's always impressed me with Steven, not only that he is a huge Taylor Swift fan, but he's always so calm when he's racing here. You can see level-headed, barely flinching, hardly blinking. But Wilson always just looks cool, calm, and collected. You can say the same for Alan Bowes, who has a large Smithfield Ford in his rearview mirror right now.
I'm jealous of that Alan Bowes beard as someone who cannot grow a beard. I'm quite jealous.
Move down into turn 3. Bowes is going to try to shut the door on Steven Wilson. And Jimmy Mullis, who rides just behind, remember that star right now on his car that represents the all-star race win that he got here 2 years ago in this series. But Bowes right now trying to hang on. They're all stacking up behind him as a result. And how much longer does he hang on? Is he going to go down and block Steven Wilson? He's not going to put up the fight. Side by side, down the back straightaway for the race lead. And Steven Wilson going to make it look easy. And he is clear of Alan Bowes.
Good, great pass. Used his patience. We knew he was a better, faster car, newer tires, better car. Steven Wilson just had to wait and make the pass. Now, he has to hold off the rest of the field. We know Jimmy Mullis is fast. He's at Vicente Salas with nothing to lose, trying to do what he can. We already saw him lead this race once.
Well, again, I think Mullis thought that Salas was going to push him down the front straightaway, and Salas can just drive in so hard into these corners right now. And I believe Mullis thought that Salas was just going to push him by, and then he poked his nose getting into one, trying to make the move on his own. Luckily for him, they clear of Bowes, so they're not side by side. So Wilson, your race leader, Mullis in second, Salas third. Can't forget about these two drivers that have made their way forward either. Dylan Duval, Casey Kerwin, Chaka that we're mentioning him late in the race, and you can even see further back the battle for 15th. You see side by side for Graham Bolin. And as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, congratulations to Caden Honeycutt. Announced the deal. He'll be running a Nice Motorsports truck and then a Craftsman Truck Series at Pocono in a couple of weeks. He's been awfully impressive in his truck series appearances this year, and hopefully has a really good truck to go give it a ride here in a couple of weeks.
And we're seeing that more and more. These Coke Series drivers getting opportunities in real life. It used to be, I felt very rare, Blake, and now we're hearing it more and more. Michael Conti spent the weekend up at Oswego Speedway in New York, getting some time there, I think in a modified of some sort. But more and more, these Coke Series drivers getting the opportunity to show their skills that they have on the real tracks.
Even a couple weekends ago, Michael Cozy Jr. went out to Summit Point Raceway. He was able to drive a Spec E30 out there at that racetrack. So a lot of great opportunities for drivers that both use iRacing as a training tool, but also are showing that you can make the transition from iRacing to real world racing as well. Dylan Duval here, Alan, somebody who has been in the series 140 starts, but has not visited Victory Lane in quite some time. It was 2016 at Indianapolis the last time that Dylan Duval went to Victory Lane, and perhaps as good of an opportunity as any to have another shot at it here.
Absolutely. 10th here last year at Nashville, so we know they're good in this next-gen car. Stewart Haas Esports running so well, and Timmy Holmes with an issue.
Holmes sliding through the grass. He's going to save it. No caution. Back up front, Jimmy Mullis has caught up to your race leader, Steven Wilson, Jimmy Mullis, and Dylan Duval, all within 0.3 of a second with just 24 laps to go.
Setting up for a great race. Look at that, 1, 2, 3. We're going to have a battle for the lead here with 3 cars. Here's a replay of what happened to Timmy Holmes after such a promising start, such a promising night. He's kind of eating that. Ooh, wow.
Got hit in the right rear, and I mean, that's one way around the corner, but that's not the way I would suggest. Not a whole lot of banking down there on almost what would be the access road. There is a road course here at Nashville Super Speedway, but I don't think you want to be running on it. Wilson going to go low to block Jimmy Mullis for the top spot into turn 3. How much longer is that going to work? That brings Dylan Duval right back into the fight.
I like this battle potentially between teammates. One has a win, one doesn't have a win in his career. How does this play out with Jimmy Mullis being sandwiched in the middle right now?
Contact up front. It'll move Steven Wilson up the racetrack. Jimmy Mullis will bounce that car off of the apron in 1 and 2, and he'll have the run down the back straightaway. Side by side here at Nashville Super Speedway for the race lead. Wilson already in the playoffs with a win, and Jimmy Mullis looking for his spot right now.
A three-way battle for the lead, and coming up in 4th, the defending series champion Casey Kerwin, just waiting to see how this plays out as Jimmy Mullis takes the lead. And now it's 2 Stewart-Haas Esports drivers in 2nd and 3rd, with Kerwin loving what he's seeing, because as they battle, 95 is just catching up. Jimmy Mullis driving away a little bit, still looking for that win. Blake, I remember just a few weeks ago, Mullis was in position to win, didn't pull it off, but was able to say, I'm going to win before the end of the season. Now he's in position.
And remember the car he battled with? It's the car that's the fastest on the racetrack right now, that 95 of Casey Kerwin, who has caught up to your top 3. He has brought along Nick Ottinger, your pole sitter, with him. Same with Bobby Zielinski. Sal is starting to slip up just a little bit back to 7th. And boy, things are getting heated up here at the front of the field. About a car length is all that separates, maybe 2, call it, between Mullis and Duval. And Mullis even tried to break the draft on the front straightaway. That's something that we don't often see.
Mullison now in defensive position, but I just love Duval's race tonight because he's done it so quietly, so smoothly. All of a sudden, he finds himself screaming through the top 5, moves quietly into 2nd past his teammate, now has 1 more car to go. Think about that, Blake. As many races as you've done, as many years have you been a part of this, trying to get that first victory, and it's 1 position in front of you can change your entire season.
That it could. Again, Jimmy Mullis, not unfamiliar with victory lane, has done it 5 times in his eNASCAR career. Unfortunately for him, it has been a drought of roughly 2 years, 2 days shy of 2 years since his last eNASCAR win. It was back at New Hampshire, which, by the way, is the next track that we visit on the schedule. 3 of his 5 series wins have come at New Hampshire, so no better time for Jimmy Mullis to be building some momentum right now, running out front at Nashville. He did it at Charlotte. And you have to think, if something were to happen late in this race that maybe things don't go according to plan, I don't think there's anywhere else I'd rather be going if I'm Jimmy Mullis in the Magic Mile.
I think he wants to go there as a winner. And so you see the concentration. You see the concentration. I mean, with 17 laps to go, with so much on the line, as you said, the wait to win for Jimmy Mullis, how close he came just a few weeks ago, and promised to get a victory before the season ended. And you're wondering, how's that going to happen? You haven't won in a long time. And here, where he's now seeing in front, 16 laps to go. Meanwhile, Duval in the 41, the concentration there, trying to get this first win of his career after so long, and so being such a veteran here in the series. And what 1 win means to your playoff, to your championship hopes. So much on the line here. I love this.
July is the month of Mullis when it comes to his eNASCAR career. This is the point in the season that Jimmy Mullis is usually firing on all cylinders, and you can see it right now as the gap has not shrunk or widen between your top 2, but now just 15 laps to go. And you can see Dylan Duval, especially in 3 and 4, trying to do all he can to get a little bit of clean air, taking a little bit of a wider arc down into the corner. Mullis electing to stay right on the bottom. But Duval, you'll see it here, just a little bit of a later entry and trying to carry that speed. Use a little bit of that draft as there's trouble on the front straightaway. Colin Bowden won once again. Derek Bordeaux as well, but Colin Bowden not been the year that he wants, and unfortunately that firecracker machine is tore all to pieces on the front end right here, and that will change everything with 14 laps to go.
That changes everything, Blake. We have seen the value of tires, how valuable new tires can be, but they're only truly valuable if you have the track position and means to use them. Does that mean you go with 2 to get the track position and have 2 new tires? Do you stay out? We've seen drivers. Alan Bowes was out in front of this race much longer than he probably anticipated, much longer than any of us anticipated. With only 13 to go, if you're in front of this field and a few more cautions happen, you may be within a few laps of a checkered flag if you're out there in front of the field. A lot of big decisions to be made right here. I'm glad I'm not a crew chief nor sweating it out trying to go for a playoff spot.
I'm not either. And, you know, if I'm Jimmy Mullis, Dylan Duval, I'm staying out. I'm not risking it. I'm not.
Wow.
I just don't think enough drivers are going to come down and
someone should go.
We'll
yeah, there you go. Do the opposite.
Oh, man, it's about 4 or 5 or so that will stay out. The rest of the field will come down. More drivers throughout the back of the field staying out. Now, will the call be 4 tires or 2 tires? That'll be the case as we see what happened back here one more time. 3 wide entering turn 3. Novak in the 75, Doucette in the 77. And number 1 of Derek Bordeaux on the top side. And Bordeaux just kind of went down and
yeah, there was initial
I think a little bit of contact. Yeah, he wasn't too happy, and we'll see it once again here from Cody Bias's perspective. The other ESC car right behind his teammate in Bordeaux. So you can see Bordeaux gets kind of squeezed into the fence and yeah, just kind of hooks it. Just hooks him.
Yeah, and we know Colin Bowden. All right, well, hoping we could do this, and we will. Colin, running back there. What happened with the 1? We just saw the replay. Let's get your perspective.
Oh, you know, just running back there with squirrels, like I said before, and it's just unfortunate, man. I got a lot of opinions I would love to say right now, but I was told by the officials that if I wanted to, be eligible to run this series again, I kind of need to relax and not have an opinion. So I can't really give y'all my true opinion because I'm not allowed to have one anymore. So it's just unfortunate, but
unfortunate and understandable. Yep.
Tough break for the e-racer car. Just try not to say anything dumb right here, right now.
There were some moments you were running up front. Is there anything you learned up front, showing off the car for e-racer?
Yeah, Firecracker 400s tomorrow and Wednesday. We're excited for that. I thought we had a good piece there. We got to play the strategy right, and we just had a check up on the restart and lost all the track position, so I had no ability to get any track. I'm about to hit the fence. There we go. We just had no ability to get the track position back, so that's unfortunate.
The best part in your background right now, there's some combat sports going on, and I have to imagine that's what's going through your head. So I'll just let you smile before we get you in trouble, but thanks for joining us. Good luck in New Hampshire next time.
Appreciate it.
Always fun, Blake.
Always fun to chat with Colin. And again, that Firecracker 400, again, that'll be taking place tomorrow on twitch.tv /eracer_GG. And Alan, we'll let you catch up now with the man that's up front looking for his 6th career win, Jimmy Mullis.
Jimmy Mullis out front, 11 laps to go, maybe 10 when we go green. What's going through your head right now? Dylan Duval fast. Other drivers, a few behind you, have new tires. You're out there on the old stuff. What's going through your head?
I'll be real honest with you, Alan. I'm just, I'm focused on trying to just hit my marks here and, do like I was doing right there before the caution came out. I felt like I was hitting everything about as good as I could and holding Dylan at bay. So just going to try to do that again here and, obviously see what happens. Obviously the tire disadvantage, but car's good. So just thankful to be in this position.
Look, quickly, you were close a few weeks ago. What did you learn from that situation? It's going to help you right now. What's this out?
Not to let all the thoughts get into my head. Just go drive the car. That's what we're going to do.
Go finish it, young man. We'll see you in victory lane.
Yes.
So we'll see if Jimmy Mullis can hang on. Update on the cars that stayed out. Everybody through 11th stayed out. So 11 cars up at the front of the field. They did not pit. The first car that is on fresh tires is back in the 12th position. Steven Wilson as well as Malik Ray. Those are your first few drivers that have fresh tires. And I don't know with 10 laps to go if that is going to be enough. But some new names at the front of the field as a result. Donovan Strauss, Kevin King, Dylan Alt, and Keegan Leahy. Haven't mentioned them much tonight. They have their chance to compete for this race win. We're going to take the green with 9 laps to go here at Nashville. Into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out for Jimmy Mullis, who escapes by about a car length or 2. But here come the fresh tires looking to make some moves behind him.
Great jump from Mullis, and look who's now in second. Our pole setter, Nick Ottinger, who's been through up and down throughout the field. Dylan Duval trying to keep his good run going. And then you have 3-time winner Bobby Z, defending champ Casey Kerwin, all trying to chase Jimmy Mullis down.
Woo. Malik Ray is going to send it 4 wide on the top side, and unfortunately Ryan Doucette gets spun out of all of it a little further on back. Malik Ray was making some moves on the top side with those fresh tires, and unfortunately the 45 goes around of Ryan, or no, the 77 of Ryan Doucette off the front bumper of Vicente Salas as they stacked up a little bit further behind him. Again, not going to help those drivers that are on those fresher tires. They need as many green flag laps as possible for it to try and work, but we'll take one more look at it.
Yeah, after the replay. I don't think we see many pit stops here that'll help anybody. Not at the front of the field, anyway. Yeah, so we have to see where Steven Wilson, how much was he able to make up in that one lap? I don't see him much in the picture. We'll get the lineup here in a second. But as you were saying, Blake, not what they wanted. You want as many green flag laps if you're on 4 fresh tires. Here's a replay of what happened.
So watch, Ray is all the way on the top side, but further on back, just beneath them, you can see them stacking up. Doucette trying to not to run in the back of Zach Novak there. He gets spun through the grass, and that is enough to trigger the caution flag. We'll take one more look. This is on board the 66 of Tyler Gary.
Just a hornet's nest there. 3 wide for a few rows. Yeah, nice miss there. Hey, late in the race, multiple rows of 3 wide. Stuff's going to happen. I think Jimmy Mullis is loving it.
Let's see if we can't catch up here. Alan, I believe you've caught up, unfortunately, with that driver. They got the worst into that, and Ryan Doucette.
Yeah, late in the race, Ryan. That's a tough one on a restart. Multiple lanes of 3 wide. What happened from your eyes?
I mean, I was the first car on old tires there, and I was just trying to hold my line and do the best I could to grab as many spots as I could at the end there, but guys on new tires impatient. I mean, there was quite literally nowhere to go, so I can't really blame them, but it's not the worst thing that's happened to me this race. I've had such an up and down race. It's been an adventure, and looks like we're gonna end in the rear here.
Yep, tough race, tough season, Framingham, Massachusetts. The next one's kind of a home one, so good luck up in New Hampshire, virtual New Hampshire, next in 2 weeks.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
The stories up front, though, Blake. Jimmy Mullis trying to change his season.
That he is, and he could certainly change it. This would be the end result if he were to go to victory lane. You can see how much it would change his season. He would not be in the top 20 in points with this victory, so would not change the playoff standings yet. But again, we mentioned how strong some of these upcoming tracks are for Jimmy Mullis. You mentioned his teammate Zach Novak almost went to victory lane last year at Pocono. That's going to be a fixed setup race when we get there in about a month or so. So Mullis approaching his greatest stretch if he does get this win, to where he needs some points after that to try and be playoff eligible. And wouldn't it be something, again, a year ago, the winner here was Ray Alfala. He did not end up qualifying for the playoffs either and got completely relegated for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series for this season.
Yeah, Jimmy Mullis dug himself a big hole, but we have seen him run up front. Do I think he is a top 20 car? Absolutely. So with 1 to go, this win is so important because he can get his way into the top. He can race his way. He is a top 20 car, or top 20 driver. Just dug himself a big hole. But this win checks 1 box. After this, if he can get it, it's just making that top 20. That'll really change it all.
Dylan Duvall came into tonight 23 points above the playoff cut line, so a win for him would just about solidify his spot in the postseason as well if he were able to get it done. Of course, Nick Ottinger leads of all drivers that don't have a win yet, so his win wouldn't affect really that battle for the playoff cut line. But we know anything can happen in these races, Alan. I wouldn't put it out of the question that we see somebody like a Donovan Strauss win. How about Kevin King, who hasn't really had the return season he would have liked? Not a lot of luck for that number 88 camp here in 2023. He could definitely turn his season around. Garrett Lowe's been in contention a number of times. Dylan All. And then, of course, all those drivers on fresher tires who now only have 4 laps to try and get the job done. Pace car is going to dive down to the bottom, and we'll try to see it through to the end here at Nashville. Mullis, Ottinger, Duvall, and Bobby Zielinski, your top 4. Another fantastic launch for your race leader in Jimmy Mullis. He scurries away with 4 laps to go.
4 laps to go in the field, just chasing behind him. Great jump for the driver of the 46, Jimmy Mullis, but Dylan Duvall right there. He was able to clear the field. Now he's got 1 car ahead of him to try to get that playoff spot, try to get that first career victory.
A couple of cars with fresh tires starting to make some moves. One of them is Malik Ray down to the bottom of Donovan Strauss. He'll go 3 wide off the corner. He's made up nearly 6 spots this lap, so the fresh tires are coming. Do they have enough time with 3 to go? And their run is going to be halted by another yellow flag. And it's Ryan Doucette again.
Oh, boy. Bad night gets worse for the driver of the 77, Jimmy Mullis, taking us to overtime.
Yes, yet again this season we are going to be going into eNASCAR overtime. As I tell you what, the moves that those drivers were making were crazy. Now, Malik Ray, Garrett Lowe, they got up to 6th and 7th respectively. So they are within a shot of Jimmy Mullis. But I'm thinking with overtime, you're probably going to need multiple attempts at overtime. I don't think 2 laps is going to be enough.
Jimmy Mullis needs to not be as good on these restarts as he has been if the field wants a chance, because he has been good. Here's a replay of what happened again to Ryan Doucette.
We're going to take a look at the 1 car. Gets a little bit loose. Derek Bordeaux. Perhaps a little contact with Corey Vincent. That is a trio of drivers that have been around each other all night. And, oh, by the way, Alan, the 77, the 2 car, those are teammates.
Not what you want at the end. Just that 1 car looked like it got loose. 77 just trying to stay out of everyone's way. He's already wrecked once tonight. Whose fault? That's not the 7's fault. That's not the 2's fault. 1 just gets loose.
The way that Bordeaux spun right there, it just snapped out of nowhere. Like that almost looked like he downshifted on accident, which, I mean, I don't think would happen. If you went from 4th to 3rd, I think your engine wouldn't be working anymore. That's almost what it looked like. That thing just snapped instantly.
And we'll see a replay from Corey Vincent up here in the 2, the other member of the Pittsburgh Knights team. I think Pittsburgh Knights just wants to get out of Nashville Super Speedway, head back up north. Because it's just not their night when this stuff's happening. Pinballing off the 1. The 1 gets loose off the 77. 77 into the 2. The teammates get reacquainted. But it's setting up overtime for all the viewers out there.
I'll correct that. I think he bottomed out right there when he spun. As we will take you once again through eNASCAR overtime. We have 3 attempts to try and finish this race under the green flag. And probably the unique thing about eNASCAR overtime is that once the white flag is taken, we will see it through to the end regardless of what happens. So once they take the white flag, we will not display the yellow, and no matter what happens on the last lap, we will race back to the checkered to make it an official race. So I know we have to cover this just about every time we go into extended racing here, Alan, but I gotta say, I feel like our fans are well familiar with this, because I'd say a majority of the races this year, just off the top of my head, have somehow ended in overtime.
Yeah, and that has benefited me a lot as we look at our standings here. These were our picks, Blake, from our countdown to green. My boy Michael Conti, not having the the best night, countdown to green presented by Wendy's. You picked Matt Busa, running a little mid-pack. We'll see what the rundown is here. These late restarts, hopefully maybe helping you. They're not doing much for myself or Camille, but we'll see how this plays out.
Well, again, I won't count my eggs before they hatch, but right now, Michael Conti 3 laps down in 35th. Matt Busa running in 13th. May not be enough to catch you at this point, but we're definitely going to overtake Camille for second. So hopefully we'll have something to say on Countdown to Green. She was talking a lot of smack earlier, so you know what? We're going to have to give it back on Countdown to Green presented by Wendy's in 2 weeks.
Yep. The real race, though, we're all focused on is that one up front, Jimmy Mullis in the 46. And look, he's been the MVP in terms of the restarts. That is what's giving him the advantage, Blake. And the shot to win right now. And if he can get another great restart, I mean, this thing is over no matter what the tires are behind him. It all comes down to this restart. He's been great these last two.
They have, but I got to look at Malik Ray. He was making moves on the top side on the initial restart after they came down and took tires. He was making moves on the bottom this previous restart, and he's made up about 3 or 4 spots every single time that we've restarted. He's the second car on fresh tires. Garrett Lowe, first car in the 3rd row, will be the first car that pit back at lap 88. On tires, so I got to think that one of those 2 drivers, and where Malik Ray is willing to put his car is where there's any space to put it. So if he can get to 3rd or 4th and we get another attempt at overtime, I think Malik Ray's has a really good shot of winning this race.
We really have to look at the 25 of Nick Ottinger and the 41 of Dylan Duval. If they can stay with Jimmy Mullis, that helps every car behind them, especially the ones on 4 tires. Let's see what Jimmy has here. He's 2 for 2 on these restarts so far.
Jimmy looking for his first win in 2 years. Dylan Duval looking for his first win in 7 years. Pace car is off. First attempt at eNASCAR overtime here at Nashville as they come into the Geico restart zone is green.
Not bad, but not as good as the other ones have been. Let's see what Malik Ray and company can do if Jimmy Mullis gets a clean look into turn 1 and 2.
Mullis is clear for the race lead. They're going to go 3 wide for second. Here comes Garrett Lowe to the bottom. He's got fresh tires down the back straightaway. He's going to go all the way to the bottom. Ottinger's going to have to back out. Does Garrett Lowe have enough time to chase down Jimmy Mullis as they'll move off of turn number 4? They'll take the white flag. This race is official.
Down into turn 1. Let's see the advantage here as Garrett Lowe knows he has a better advantage. Comes up on the bumper of Jimmy Mullis. Jimmy Mullis moves high. We're going down the backstretch, Blake.
Mullis moves down to the bottom to block Garrett Lowe. Garrett Lowe will move to the top side by side, into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Mullis will drive it in. They'll make contact off of turn 4. Lowe gets put into the wall, and Jimmy Mullis will win at Nashville Superspeedway. He gets his first win in 2 years, and Garrett Lowe is not happy.
Wow. No, he's not. You can see the 15 reacting there. We saw the in-car shots. Jimmy Mullis grabbing his heart. Blake, I didn't think Jimmy Mullis had any time coming off of 4 to make contact with the 15. But Jimmy Mullis is your winner tonight here in Nashville.
When we talk about how much the playoffs means to these drivers and to have a shot to compete for a championship, you see it right there as Jimmy Mullis has your Coca-Cola winning moment as he burns it down on the front straightaway. Jimmy Mullis will complete his burnout here on the front straightaway. And Alan, I don't think there's any debate. This is our Coca-Cola move of the race. They approach the white flag, and we'll take a look one more time. Garrett Lowe, obviously a ton of speed into 1 and 2. Mullis makes the move. He says, you're going to have to go around the top side to get by me.
And he does. Jimmy Mullis giving him the top side there a little bit. Garrett has the tires. Contact there. Wide open. I didn't think there was enough space there. Jimmy Mullis had it. Makes the contact back. Gets the victory over a car that had better tires in a better situation. But it's Jimmy Mullis with the checkered flag, which is what matters tonight. Let's talk to him now. The winner tonight at Nashville Super Speedway. Jimmy, the first thing I saw you do, clutch your heart, man. What was that final corner like, knowing the 15 had better tires and a faster car?
I thought it was over. There's going to be a lot of opinions about that right there. And I wasn't going to wreck him, but I did hit him. And, we were racing hard. I was tight, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I wasn't trying to make contact and, try to race it out to the line. Glad that he was able to gather it up and still come away third. He was flying on those tires, man. I want to win so bad. I feel like I've been so freaking close this year. We've had so much speed, and man, it feels good to finally have something get closed out and not screw it up for myself. Feel like if it went green there to the end before we got all these yellows, we were going to be tough to beat. So, just honestly, I have no other words.
I won't lie to you. The Twitch chat, the opinions are already flying. Sometimes you got to win them like that. Are you looking out? Are you looking out the windshield? Are you looking in the mirror? How do you drive that final corner?
Oh, it's as a good friend of mine, JD Laird, used to say, or I used to hear him say, it's all windshield. Definitely not paying attention to what was coming behind me. Anthony told me to just hit my corner. I did the best I could when he got on my outside. I kind of tried to check it up to make sure that he couldn't go below me, because I knew, if that happened, I was going to get beat. So just fortunate that it worked out. I don't like racing that way. I really don't. But, we're trying to make a run at these playoffs. We've got two really, really good tracks coming up in these next two races. And, we're going to go try to win both of them. So, man, just super thankful.
Hey, they may call you a lot of names tonight, but they have to call you the winner. Congratulations, Jimmy Mullis. Enjoy it, and good luck on that playoff run. What an ending. Let's talk to some other drivers who were watching it all happen, including the 41 of Dylan Duvall for Stewart Haas Esports. You were right there. You had a car that could compete at the end. Bring me through those final laps, especially an overtime restart, and what you saw play out.
Yeah, that was wild. It's been a while since I've been in that position, so it was definitely a nice change to have the Eckrich meets Nathan's famous Ford Mustang up front. I'm honestly kind of disappointed that we even got that relatively late yellow. I think I was a little bit better than Jimmy, around 15 to go right before that yellow, but it was definitely going to be hard to pass. And above anything else, though, I was going to race him clean for it. I was hoping I could just get to his left rear and get him a little aero tight and get under him, or try to get to his right rear and hope that he would also race me how I was going to race him. But, unfortunately that didn't work out for us, but we made it through the chaos at the end. Thankfully, we weren't in the back in all that mess. So, yeah, definitely happy with P2 tonight. Strong run, and definitely good for the points for sure.
Yeah, P2, hopefully some momentum. Still some work to do for the playoffs. Tonight will help. What do you think about the next two races coming up?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I feel like we made a lot of gains tonight. I feel like we had a car that could have won the race, and that's a good turnaround for us, because I feel like we've been off the last little bit. So definitely looking forward to the upcoming races. Really, it's kind of a little bit outside of playoffs. It's a little unfortunate as well, because I feel I've had two 11th places right before this race, and then before that, I was caught up in wrecks in 3 in a row, and I think I finished outside of the 30s in 3 races in a row. I feel like if not for that little bit of bad luck right there, we would have a legitimate shot at being in on points right now. So hopefully we can go in one of these next two and win a race, and worst case if we don't, maybe if we keep running like this, we can just point our way in.
Dylan Duvall brings it home in second tonight. Dylan, thanks for chatting with us. But we're going to catch up here, unfortunately, with Garrett Lowe. Brings it home in third tonight. And Garrett, I'll just kind of let you talk about that last lap and what you think happened in 3 and 4 between you and Jimmy.
Yeah, I got ready for the win. I think that kind of basically sums it up. Thought I'd be nice. I mean, I could have shipped him off in the corner and just drove through him like there wasn't any tomorrow and had myself a nice win and be in the playoffs. But I thought I'd be courteous and at least race him with some respect when he threw the block. So I knew I had a tire advantage, so I could drive around the outside, and he just decided that he didn't want to race like that. So rest assured, the 46 will never be raced clean again.
I know when it comes to this series, we've seen what drivers have been willing to do to try and win. Does an event like this or a situation like this, change maybe what you would do going forward? You said you tried to, do things and get around him clean and whatnot. If you're in kind of his position again, does this type of situation change your approach moving forward?
Yeah, probably. I think for probably the first 3 years of my career, I was kind of the guy that was going to give people room and race real respectful. And this year, I decided I need to be a little bit more aggressive, and I tuned that up a little bit. It cost me some spots, cost me some races, and I got here tonight, and I had a car that was capable of walking the field if it ever got to clean air. And honestly, I was racing hard. I was racing everybody hard the whole race, and everybody had to with this track and this package. So, yeah, I mean, it changes the perspective, but I don't know that I'd have done anything different the last 10 laps of this race.
Do you think moving forward, you said the 46 wouldn't finish a race or you wouldn't race him clean. If Jimmy makes the playoffs and you don't, what could we expect to see between you two?
I mean, he's certainly not going to cut any slack, that's for sure. I've been in that spot before in the playoffs when guys don't want to cut you any slack, and it makes you really feel it. So he'll feel it when it gets there. I'm sure we'll be up there racing with him when it comes down to it if we're not in the playoffs ourselves.
All right, Garrett, I know tough luck for you, but you drove a great race and still bringing home P3 tonight.
Thanks, guys. Big shout out to all the Legacy Esports guys for putting together a rocket on Big Green Egg Mustang this week.
So that wraps things up with Garrett Lowe. Again, appreciate Jimmy, Dylan, and Garrett Lowe for taking the time to chat with us as we look at the results of your top 10. Again, Malik Race, somebody we were talking about often tonight, as well as Vicente Salas, Ottinger, Maines, Busa, Guest, and Zielinski. All a lot of points on the line, and those drivers wrapped them up here as we complete the top 10. Caden Honeycutt starts caboose on the field, ends up driving up to the 15th position. Timmy Holmes started outside of the front row and finishes up in the 20th position. Further back in the field, some drivers that had some awfully long nights, a couple of incidents, especially for Derek Bordeaux, brings it home in 24th. So you can see the rest of the field. Again, 33 cars on the lead lap to wrap up this one here at Nashville tonight. 104 laps here at Nashville turns us over to the Magic Mile. And when you talk about a driver who is red hot, there is none more than Jimmy Mullis, who is rolling into a place that he has won 3 times in his eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series career. In 2 weeks, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, you can tune in with us from New Hampshire Motor Speedway to catch all of the action with just 2 races before we begin the 2023 playoffs. But on behalf of everybody here at iRacing and our entire broadcast crew, we thank you so much for tuning into tonight's action of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. For Alan Cabana, I'm Blake McCandless saying so long from the Music City. We bid you farewell and congratulations to tonight's winner, Jimmy Mullis.